Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Today I'm here hoping to be able to interview Joey Wilder. He is the creator, inventor, founder, you name it.
We have Joey Wilder, first time coming on the show.
But at that moment, I had a choice to make. I either hit this while it's hot, while people are hyped up about it, or kind of let it simmer out. And I've been told by many great mentors that it's all about the timing of things. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the dichotomy of men and how so commonly we get stuck in that bitterness, right? We want to give the world a taste of their own medicine, right? How many guys have done that before? Raise your hand. You know, someone, yeah, right? You know, men are really good at something. We're good at many things, but this is one we're really good at. If you hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you more. It's like we combat pain with pain, friction with friction. I feel it's all wrong. I'll share 3 hard truths for you that we need to move towards acceptance in order to shift from bitter to better. The bitter man is the one that says, man, I wanna sleep with all the women. I wanna do this, I wanna scratch that itch, I wanna wet my beak, right? We've all been there and I don't judge you. However, when we move to better, we have something that's in covenant. We have something we keep sacred. We have something that we stand for. Guys, I'm gonna share with you hard truth number 1. Everything you're going to care about is going to be challenging. Get used to the growing pains in life. Because that's what they are. They're growing pains, right? I look back 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I'll tell you, the hard then is still comparative to the hard now, but that's the thing, is there's always going to be a level of hard, so choose your hard, guys. Everything you're going to care about is going to have a level of difficulty. Get used to it and choose the path of being better instead of bitter. Have you guys ever met those older bitter men, right? The guys that are like, man, my wife does this, my wife does this. Man, I had a guy once blame CrossFit. Love that guy. Because now he realizes that when we blame those other things, when we shame, we blame, we play a game, it's because we're lacking a level of leadership for ourselves. Now, almost 5 years ago, I found myself in this relationship with someone that I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And guess what? She got pregnant. And man, I'll tell you, it scared the shit out of me. Because I never had a father growing up. I didn't know what it looked like to be a man. So of course, growing up, I did all the things. I was like, I'm gonna be tough. So I did Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, all the shit. I thought, man, if I can fight another man, and if I can have sex with women, I'm a man, right? How many guys have been there? Yeah, we go through the rigmarole. But 4 or 5 years ago, I met this woman. She got pregnant, and I didn't know what to do with that information, and I ran away. I ran away from the problems instead of leaning in. I didn't have a grid on what it meant to actually do the work. I told myself, man, this is challenging. And guess what? I spiraled into some negative habits to run away. Any guy in here ever struggled with that? Whether it's alcoholism, addiction to other things. I had this polarizing thought of life isn't gonna get better until I choose for it to get better. And that was when the tipping point started for me. But at this point, so much pain had happened and I had caused so much pain that I felt like I was backtracking. My present day self was fighting the battles of my past self. How many guys relate to that? Do you feel like the man you are today is fighting battles against your past self? Do you guys know the difference between joy and happiness? Do you? Yeah, happiness, in my belief, Happiness is result reliant. I'll be happy when I have this money. I'll be happy when I have this car, I have this house, I have this woman, I have this fucking thing. So much that we get that thing, and then what happens? You get the new car and you're like, oh, it's sick, and then 6 months down the line, you're like, I want a new car. I've been there, right? You get the house, and then suddenly you're super stoked, and months down the line, you're like, oh man, we could get a nicer house. You guys been there? Yeah, it's like this paradox of we're happy when we have X, but joy is a state. It's a being, it's a place, it's a feeling. Joy is the feeling that some of you experienced, and myself, when you watched your child take their first breath. That's joy. Joy is a happiness drug. And understanding the difference between the things that bring you happiness and the things that bring you joy is important. Because happiness, in my opinion, is result reliant. And if happiness is what we're after, I believe we may be consistently let down because it's result reliant. We get the thing, all right, I want the next thing. But guys, sometimes you have to get fucking angry because you can't experience one side without experiencing the other, right? How can you experience true joy unless you've experienced anguish, something more negative, something darker? How can you experience wealth and appreciate it if you haven't been broke? It creates polarity. Because polarity in our life, like right now the phase, all of us are in different phases. We go through life adding so much to ourselves when sometimes we need to remove things, the unnecessary rubbish, right? And that's why I said, if you strip everything away, if you strip away the cars, you strip away the house, you strip away the money, the career, everything, who are you? Who are you at the core level? Because that's where the work starts. I needed to shift from being bitter to better. And we hear all these things online like, oh, self-care, take some space. I remember telling you, Devin, you need some self-care. And I even gave you examples about it. Because, we hear it's like self-love, self-care, and it's like, all right, do I get a massage? Do I get a manicure? What do I do? When realistically, I just needed to pour into myself the way that I so dutifully pour into others. Because realistically, we can't pour from an empty cup. Somewhere along the way of us trying to become everything we thought we wanted to be, we lost ourselves. And sometimes we do get to lose ourselves to find ourselves. And I think that's kind of why we're all here, right? To become this better man, because maybe she cheated, maybe we cheated. I have no judgments. Mistakes don't define you. It doesn't make you a bad man. It just means that maybe you made a bad decision. I have no judgments at all. But when you shift from bitter to better, you get to get out of the framing of, why the fuck is this happening to me? Because we've all said that. And say, what is this teaching me? What am I learning right now? Because at one point in my life, I remember saying this out loud, saying, how many times do I have to learn the lesson before I finally learn the lesson? And I answered it for myself, and I was like, motherfucker, when you learn the fucking lesson, that's when you learn the lesson. But right now, my ego, which is not your amigo at all, guys. Your ego never has your best interest in mind. But my ego said, man, you can learn the lesson a little bit, you just keep going, because you're great, because I had success in my life. I'd done a lot of things that other people had admired me for. Yet you know what that actually was? My external approach of trying to find success was for one thing. I wanted my parents to notice me. I wanted my dad to say he was proud. I wanted my mom to notice me so much that everything I did was to serve them and not me. And that's not fair to myself. And I started to realize that I actually wasn't experiencing joy then. I was experiencing a level of happiness, but it was result reliant. I'll be happy when I hit this. I'll be happy when I do this. It was numb. It was debilitating. So much that it felt like I had to run from my own shadow. And guess what? Demons, they echo. They'll follow you into the dark. I used to want to metaphorically escape to a forest and build a home with a porch and lock the door on the porch in hopes that my demons would not follow me to the nowhere that I am. And guys, silence can be deafening, but like I said, demons, they echo. They'll follow you until you do the work. But when we're bitter, man, we just want to have more bitterness. Have you ever recognized that? Like, the phrase is misery loves company. None of us are here to accompany you in your misery, but we are here to call you out, to call you forward. Because when you're surrounded by better men, you become a better man. When you're in the battlefield, you might put down your sword, but you never take down your shield. That's a metaphor for how some of you may be living your life right now. You may be in the battlefield and you may be tired of fighting, but don't take down the shield. Because the moment you do, what happens? You get fucking pierced by an arrow. It's not a good feeling. So for some of you, that may be a metaphor for what you're experiencing in your life. I'm gonna parlay to number 2, the second hard truth. The dialogue that enabled a high-value man to respect you is not the same dialogue that will enable a high-value woman to respect and appreciate you. You have to learn to speak her language. You know, we can't just grunt, hit our chest, I am man, right? We have to communicate. We have to use things like I feel statements. We have to have a cadence, a level of empathy. Do you guys know the difference between empathy and sympathy? Sympathy says, I'm in this with you. Let's experience the pain. Empathy says, I can imagine how that feels and I can relate to how that feels, but I'm not here to experience the pain with you. So understand this much, guys. Your partner, and the same thing can be said for you, can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. And the same thing can be said for you towards them. Life is hard, and you guys can write this down. Life is hard, but you are strong. But I had to shift out of the bitter and move towards better. Because if I'm a bitter man, I am no better than anyone else that has made a mistake. And I'm not better nor worse, but I am me. And I know that for myself, one of my values is I want to constantly be better because my son and my daughter deserve that. And number 3, and this story polarizes this perfectly. There are hidden transactions in every decision that you make. Get good at seeing them. Because the hidden transactions in the decision that I made, man, hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney fees, thousands and thousands of dollars in therapy, psychology, all of this stuff. And if I could go back, I can't tell you if I would do it differently because I'm a firm believer that where I am at now is exactly where I'm meant to be, right on time. I'm not too far ahead. I'm not behind. I'm where I'm meant to be when I am meant to be there. And those are 3 hard truths that we get to accept as men in order to move from bitter to better. Because to polarize this, when we move from bitter to better, instead of why me, why God, why Allah, why faith, why source, why me, why Devin, why me? What is this teaching me? What is it teaching me?